To build a culture, you've got to lead by example. You've got to become a culture champion, especially if it's your business. You can't go in a room and speak down to somebody and then expect your team to love coming to work for you, when actually leadership is the core thing to get your culture right. But the minute something breaks your pattern, and the minute that something happens that you didn't expect to happen, or surprised you, or educated you, or excited you, or made you feel appreciated, then that's what creates a memory. When you create a wow moment, you go into something called a gamma state, which is a peak state of consciousness. The energy and spirit of what it means to feel human. The reason why we are personal growth and business development is because the wow not just only helps you excel in business, it's the key to exceeding expectations, to become a high performer.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Shake the Mic. Today I'm joined by owner and founder of Wray, public speaker, business coach and mentor Jamie Wray. Jamie, thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me, mate.
This is a podcast I've been really looking forward to, and the reason for that is I definitely know I want to take something away myself today, and it's an avenue we haven't been down yet on Shake the Mic. In my opinion, you're a really talented business coach. What was it that inspired you to start to mentor people and coach them?
It's a good question. I think my background's hospitality, isn't it? So I think I've always been the forefront of people. And, you know, I was a manager of a big company, managing teams, and was living away. I was living in Spain, in Tenerife. And there was a point where I needed to come home. It was COVID, family problems or whatever, in regards to they were suffering with their businesses. So I had to make the decision to move home. And to be honest, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. But then I asked myself, what am I good at? I didn't want to go back into hospitality. I didn't want to, work from a laptop. And I was reading a book, and in the book it said, you're most positioned to serve the person you once were. And that made me think, what do I want to do? I enjoy coaching. So I just pursued the coaching, and then, it just went from strength to strength.
I thought I'd start out with some questions that I feel like people who watch the podcast could get value from. And as we go through, we'll learn a little bit more about yourself and get into the good stuff. But I feel like there'll be questions that people will have in their heads that they'd want answering during this podcast, so I thought I'd put them to you and see if you could get it out there for us. What advice would you give to someone who is starting a brand new business and is looking to, if they've just got started or they're looking to get started, what advice would you give to someone in that position, Jamie, who's brand new to business?
That's another good question, thank you.
I'm here all night.
I'd say, we always talk about you've got to build a brand, not a business. A business is a transaction, or a business is a vessel to make money. But when you put a brand ethos forward, that's the emotion behind actually why you want to start something, and the energy behind, what you actually want to do. So I'd say look at building a brand and look at the reason why you want to start it and the impact you want to make. And it's about impact. So what is the impact?
Define a brand in layman's terms, Jamie, to someone who's watching and they are brand new. What is a brand itself? So a brand itself is something that generates an emotion. So if you look at, let's say, Nike just don't sell clothes, they sell motivation. So they anchor a feeling around the brand itself and the business itself. So it sells motivation. So you see these adverts where, you'll see someone putting a pair of trainers on, looking out the window, and it's raining. Then, they're looking at the trainers, looking out the window. Should I go? Should I stay in? What should I do? No, I'm going to put my Nike trainers on. I'm going to run outside in the rain. And that feeling creates motivation. So when you go into the store, just do it.
Just do it. Exactly, just do it. That emotion is anchored subconsciously within the person. So it changes buying behavior. So, to do that, a lot of companies will focus on specializing on what the emotion is that they want their customers to feel. Look at McDonald's. McDonald's have anchored emotion behind their brand, which is happiness. Their most selling product is the Happy Meal, but actually the reality is McDonald's kills you.
It's a sad meal.
It's sad. So it can also work in both ways, but to build a brand, it's looking at the impact and how you want people to feel when they come into contact with you.
Do you think people buy on emotion?
People do buy an emotion. They buy when they feel something, or they buy when it solves a problem. So there's two types. But the reality is to paint the picture of what success looks like and how you can actually, stand out from the crowd. There's so many things now and so many businesses and so many ads that they're not authentic, they're not genuine. When someone's trying to sell you something.
Do you feel like that the more you can make someone feel, the more emotion you can put behind whatever it is that you are putting out there, the much higher, more chance it is you are going to sell it?
Definitely, because you've got to cut through the noise, haven't you? The attention span now on, digital attention span's 2 seconds. So, everyone that's just constantly scrolling and looking for tons and tons and tons of information that they need to get through to actually make a purchase or actually to make a movement online. If you can market genetically and you can actually be authentic with it, and you can capture that emotion, which 9 times out of 10, you're not actually selling anything. You're not even speaking about the product or the service you're selling, but you're telling a story of how to captivate. And that's what's actually getting you the business.
Do you think with all the noise now, people get bored quickly?
Yeah, I think we all do. I've just purchased an app today which blocks all the apps and things like that from my phone, because I looked at my screen time. My screen time was about 6.5 hours. Majority was WhatsApp, to be fair, but we've got a busy time coming up. I want to go into 2025 right, and I've purchased this app. And when you put your daily screen time in it, it told me today that if I continued, I'd be on my phone for like 22 years of my lifetime, which is ridiculous. So, 22 years, that was scary enough for me to say, I don't want to be on my phone for that long. And it wasn't predominantly social media, it was WhatsApp, because it's just constant messages. So it's about streamlining, your communication, so you can have actually time to build your brand instead of being, on the mouse wheel,
It's very difficult in business to step outside as well, isn't it? When we're really, really focused on something and we're so driven that we want to achieve, it's hard to just put it down, even for a small amount of time, and say, you know what, I've done all I can do today, let's move on for tomorrow. Yeah. The second that phone goes or whatever, it's it's somebody else. And, we're wanting to build it, we want to provide the best service we possibly can. It's hard to have switch off time. It's something I struggle with myself personally.
Yeah.
What common mistakes that people make early on in business?
Common mistakes they make early on in business is not clarifying their brand DNA, not looking at the mission, the purpose, the vision, the values, not looking at who they are. They look at money first. How do I make money? And that's, making money is a byproduct of actually building, a brand. When you lead with brand first, business comes. When you lead with business first, there's no identity, there's no emotion, there's no feeling behind it.
You've got to have a really special product, I believe, Jamie. If you lead with business first, it's got to have it if it's got no character and you've got no brand, the product's just got to be that good it sells itself, and that's very, very few and far between. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? If you're the only person selling toilet roll, it wouldn't matter what way you put it or whatever, you would sell it. Yeah. But if you've got something which is, it's choice, and a lot of things out there that people do sell are choice, whether it's a service or a product. 9 times out of 10 people have got a choice whether they need it or they not. Not everything's a necessity. You've definitely got to have something that comes with it.
Yeah, I think when you're talking about before about what a brand is as well, it's experience. That's what it is. It boils down to an experience, and I think a business is a transaction. It's doing something or selling a product that's transactional, where an experience is something that's transformational. People say, customer service. They always say customer service, have good customer service. But now, customer service is even mediocre. Look around you, everywhere you go, the supermarket, a restaurant, going into, a clothes shop or whatever it may be, it's mediocre.
Me and my missus took the kids to McDonald's a few weeks ago, and I said to her, why do we do this? Years ago, it's always been bad for you, but years ago, you'd go in, it'd be it'd be there and then, it was fast food, it'd be bang, bang, see you later, etc. And it was all right, and you get loads of sauces and all that, and it was just see you later. Where now, you go in, you pay, you wait, they get it wrong, it's cold, you're messing around, and you know you're going for this headache, but a lot of people still go, and I think it's just because it's that established, and we just associate it with it's easy, it's fast. That's a lot of the reason why people go. But in terms of what you're getting, it's not good, is it? But you still go.
Yeah, it's still not good. And the key differentiator in business is speed. So people will, you know, buy more and actually spend more if something's fast. But, you know, in today's world, there's a desire for connection and experience. And every single place you go, you know, 9 times out of 10, you're having a mediocre experience. And 80 to 90% of businesses are not wowing their customers. They're not creating these memorable experiences. So that means that if you can deliver an experience, that you'll be 80 to 90% ahead of your competition.
Okay, let's get it. For anyone who's watching who doesn't know already, what is Ways to Wow?
So Ways to Wow is a personal growth and business development group. So we specialize in helping people and brands exceed expectations. That's what it is in a nutshell.
When was the last time you said wow?
Good question. The last time I said wow was when I've just come in here, mate. Seeing your little setup. We've been wowed. He brought it give us a little gift, me and Jay, who sat over there. Give us a little gift bag with some bits and bobs in. I haven't seen what's in it yet. And then we've been brought a cup of tea and some cakes, and then a photo of me that was printed out on a photo frame to sign. So yeah, wow moments.
For you, what is a wow moment? Or for any viewers watching, how can they wow someone? It doesn't have to be massive, does it, Jamie? It's got to be the little things. It's got to be the little things. It's the little things that matter the most. You know, a wow moment. If anyone's listening, they've got kids, or they've ever give someone a present on the birthday or on Christmas or anything. You know that time when you give someone something, and you see that sort of excitement. You know, it's like time stands still for the split second. Well, a wow moment is basically how you can surprise somebody, excite somebody, educate somebody, or appreciate somebody. So, you know, an exciting moment that makes someone feel excited, it generates energy. A surprising moment where it's the unexpected. And a moment of education where, you know, let's say you go to a restaurant and, you know, the restaurant owner or the waiter or something will say, oh, just to let you know, the fish of the day or the special of the day is from this place. And they tell a little story and you say, wow, I didn't know that. Or a moment of appreciation where someone can actually do a kind act and you'll say, you know what, that just made me say, wow, thanks so much. My boss done something lovely for me there. And it made me feel appreciated, because when you create a wow moment, you go into something called a gamma state, which is a peak state of consciousness. So that is the energy and spirit of what it means to feel human. So I think the reason why we are both personal development, personal growth and business development is because the wow not just only helps you excel in business, it's the key to exceeding expectations, to become a high performer. And if you can create wow moments consistently, not just once, but then you're going to be more fulfilled, because wow moments create a mutual sense of fulfillment. So if you create a wow moment for somebody else, the person just doesn't feel good, you feel good. So imagine going through your day, coming into contact with people, whether it's strangers, your team, your customers, your family, your friends, consistently putting these wow moments into practice. You're feeling fulfilled in your day, and so are they. And you bring a more positivity and impact to everywhere you go. Do you believe that entrepreneurs must be high performers to actually succeed? No, there's 2 types of people. There's those who are successful and there's those who are high performers, and they're 2 different things. You know, I think if you look at, you know, sports professionals, there's many sports professionals who all do the same thing, but some are champions. And the reason why they're champions is because they're high performers, and high performance boils down to one thing, and that's mindset. Because everybody gets the same training, everyone has the same development, everyone has the same, you know, criteria and content available to them. But the reason why people are high performers is because it's the way they speak to themselves in their own mind. How do you develop your mindset? Daily, and it's hard. I think we all get challenged. You know, the average person has 60 to 120,000 thoughts a day.
80% of those thoughts are negative or repetitive, meaning that as soon as you wake up in the morning, you've got pressure on your chest. So if you are not somebody who can, who has a positive mindset or has mastered to implement affirmations into life, and you're going to struggle. And when I say affirmations, I don't mean affirmations that are like positivity. I mean affirmations that are designed to reprogram your thinking. An affirmation is a mantra that, if you think about playing tennis, if you were to serve a negative thought to the other side of the court, and there was nothing there to stop it, the ball would just bounce. But the minute you put an affirmation in, it's like you have another player. So when you have a negative thought, your affirmation that you've programmed yourself to say will hit that ball back, and you start to play tennis in your brain with yourself. You'd say that affirmation enough times, you won't even need to think about it. So I've got affirmations for when I wake up in the morning. If I don't want to get in that cold shower of a morning, it's like, who wants to get in a cold shower?
Nobody.
Nobody.
It's horrible in the morning as well, isn't it? Got to prepare yourself, mentally.
It is. It's mentally. And, the cold shower thing, everyone's like, oh, these cold showers. But the cold shower is just it's programming your mind to say whatever I say is happening.
Yeah, regardless, I don't want to get in here now, but I'm going to get in here anyway. We're getting in. More than the physical benefits, it's the mental benefits from it, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
100%. I'd agree with you, definitely. You talk a lot about human connection, or the lack of. Can you tell us why it's so important and so relevant to not only our businesses, but ourselves?
Yeah, so the world is going robotic, isn't it?
100%.
Everywhere you go, everyone's just like a robot, everyone's head down. And, today more people are concerned about, message notifications than meaningful conversations. Now, just imagine this. Imagine if you had the ability to walk into any room and to be able to make a connection with somebody. That's looking them in the eyes. That's active listening, so they know you're listening to them. That's being present. That's not looking at your phone. That is tuned into that person. Now, if you've got the ability to connect with that, if you're a business owner and you can connect with your team and they can see that you care and they can see that you're present, they're going to work for you far beyond you could possibly imagine, because they know that you've got their back and you're listening to them. I think that boils down to everything. A relationship with your partner, going home and just death scrolling for hours, or, just being, a robot. So you can improve your relationship by being, more present and having that connection. We've got many workshops that teach that, as well as our coaching. But it's about how you can actually make a positive impact and be present, because what's going to happen in a few years, it's already happening now, but it's going to get worse, is companies especially are going to realize that everything that they've turned digital is going to backfire on them, because the key differentiator is going to be how people connect. People are going to, want experiences where they can have a face-to-face conversation and not go through a chatbot, or not try and ring to cancel something or click.
There's nothing worse, is there, than when you're trying to speak to someone, trying to speak to Vodafone, and it's like, please just message on this, and you're like, I just want to speak to someone. You just want to get it sorted, you want to resolve it.
Exactly. And the new generation now, the new workforce, or, anyone's got kids, they're constantly on the phones. Now, we can't do anything about it in regards to, what's happening. It is what it is. It's technology, and it's here. All I'm saying is be aware of it, because confidence comes from connection. And if you can't connect with somebody, it's because you probably don't have an attention span. And the average attention span now is, it was 8 seconds, which is 1 second less than a goldfish, but it's actually just went down. So they reckon now that the attention span now of the average person is 6 seconds.
Wow.
So you imagine that a child at the young age is constantly on the phone, and they are growing up without confidence, because they've got no connection. They're in a room on a phone for 8 to 10 hours a day. So when then they need to grow up and get a job or something, they're not going to be able to. So it's about everything we do as a person or a business is about connection. It's the art of feeling human.
I believe the high street's going to come back, not now, but in years to come. The way high streets are dying now everywhere, and no matter where you go, it's like, you're seeing shutters a lot and stuff. You've been saying about like experience. You don't get much experience from ordering a pair of trainees through a computer or on your phone, but you do when you go in the shop and you actually put them on. And there's becoming less and less shops, and there's becoming less and less human connection. And I think it'll get less before it gets more, but eventually in the future. It could be 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line. I could be wrong, but I can't see it. I think it will become a fad. It'll become something where it's like, no, we need to take this to people so people can feel it, people can see it. And it'll be like the experience that you used to have 10 years ago, where you go out and there'd be shops everywhere and you could go to the pub and you could communicate and connect. And that was seen as like a standard thing, and it's becoming less and less. I think it'll become more and more again in the future, because we are humans and we do all long for the same things, and human connection is one of them.
Yeah, 100%. It's, once again, it's the key differentiator in regards to how you can stand out. If you're a business owner and you can connect with your team, you're going to be able to build a better relationship with them. If you can train them, you know, to wow your customers and to create fulfillment as a culture and a business, then you're gonna stand out from your competitors. If you're a person that can generate connection and, you know, with your missus or with your kids or with your friends, then you're going to be a person of influence because you listen. And once again, 80-90% of people, or 80-90% of businesses are mediocre. 80-90% of people at the moment are robots and asleep.
So if you're putting it in, Jamie, you've got a greater chance than ever, really. If 80-90% are turning up, even though they're there, if you're in the 10% that is turning up, well, then it's game on, isn't it?
Exactly.
I love this one. Who is Jamie Wray? At the very core, Jamie, peeling back all the layers, not behind the camera or people knowing you through what you do. Who are you as a person?
I'd say I'm someone that likes to contribute. I really like I really like seeing others, seeing people develop. I think I'm just a guy with a vision to help people and to make the world a little bit of a better place. And you know, the inner me just wants to coach people and actually listen and say, you know, actually people get lost in their own head. You know, the reality is when you peel the layers back of actually someone's thinking, the reality is that what they're actually thinking about is not a big deal. They make it a big deal because it builds up and builds up. And you know, one of my values is the power of my word. And I'd say I used to be a person that wasn't good at my word, but now I've incorporated that into my values because what I say needs to happen. And I think what happens is when you're a person and you say, I'm not going to have a takeaway tonight, and you have a takeaway, or I'm not going to go out and drink on Saturday, and you go out and drink. That
smashes you mentally, don't it, Jamie?
It smashes you mentally, but subconsciously, all those little times you break a little rule to yourself.
You're a loser, you know, you didn't show up.
You didn't show up, and it comes back on you because it says, like, when you look at something big, like doing a big activity or a big challenge or whatever it may be, you can't get to it because you can't even not touch your phone for an hour. So the power of your word is everything. I think going back to your question of who I am, I think I'm just I see the way the world's changing. I see the way people are changing and habits, and to be honest, it upsets me. And I think I've always been a person that's, you know, I've always wanted to make a positive impression. You know, when I was a kid, I'd always try and make my family laugh and things like that. And, you know, just wanted to like connect with people. And then hospitality brought that out of me. And all hospitality is being hospitable, of how to actually, you know, connect with people. So it started from, you know, connection to then actually how you can, how we can build a business on it and actually help people improve connection and experience.
Should you ever use your word against yourself in terms of, like, if you know now you've made a promise to yourself internally that if you say something, you have to do it. If there's something that you really don't want to do, subconsciously you know you don't. It's at the surface, you know you don't. Should you ever just fucking say it aloud so you've got to do it?
Yeah, I think it's hard, isn't it? You know, and sometimes we can put too much pressure on ourselves, like too much pressure. You've got to ask yourself why you're saying something. You know, I've stopped drinking coffee. I haven't drank coffee for about 2 months now. Before that, I'd done 3-4 months, and then I ended up back on it. And I absolutely love coffee, but I have to say, you know, that's one thing that's got a grip of me. I could not get up of a morning.
I won't offer you a cup of coffee again.
Thanks, mate. I've got a tea, which is good.
Do you want a coffee?
But I'm not saying everyone give up coffee and things like that. It just, for me,
it's your challenge.
Yeah, it's a challenge, and it's not. I'm doing it because I feel like I was having too much coffee. Coffee was controlling me, And I want to see that, you know, you look at some professionals that I follow, they don't drink coffee.
No.
You know, they don't drink coffee. So the question is why, and everyone is different. But yeah.
I believe the strongest people are the people who've got no vices. So I try to steer clear of having any vices, so I know that I'm strong. It makes me feel mentally strong because I think I don't need nothing.
Yeah.
If I don't need nothing, I'm okay. You know, and I just picture and always say to myself, if you put me somewhere in a position of not having any choice, would I feel strong?
Yeah.
Well, you would if you haven't got any vices. If you've got something that you rely on or something, you'd be like, fuck, I need a coffee. Or you haven't got that. It puts you in a position of strength. Would you be kind enough to tell us about your background, your childhood, and your upbringing? What attracted you to business? Where did the entrepreneur mindset come from? Who was you as a child, Jamie?
Good question. So, as a child, grew up a normal kid. Mum and dad, good mum and dad. Mum and dad split up when I was like young, like 2 or 3, and then mum got with my stepdad Martin. He's brilliant. He's brought me up with my mum. Went to normal school. No really history or nothing to tell there. I think it was. Went to Cardleaning in West Derby.
I went to Cardleaning.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you must have been in my year.
You must have
been. How old are you?
I'm 34. I have to think about
34.
it.
I'm 36. And now look older.
Yeah, you're handsome.
So, Cardleaning. Yeah. All boys school. And it was a laugh. It was a laugh. I was a normal kid. And then got to sort of the end of school and we started panicking as like, all right, I haven't really done anything here. Left school with nothing. I didn't really take to it.
Are you intellectual, Jamie? Would you say you're academic?
No, I'd say I'm not academic.
Do you think you could have been if you'd applied yourself, or just no?
Yeah, I could have been if I applied myself, but I think what does school get you? School teaches you how to learn and you know, recall information. That's what school does.
I say that to my little boy, my eldest boy, Jared. He's just went to Cardleaning and now he's just started. And he's when he had his SATs last year, he was like dead stressed, going, oh, Dad, this, that, and the other. I said, look, Jared, when you leave school and go to get a job, the guy's not going to sit down in the interview and say, right, let's have a little look back now at year 6 and see how you've done in your SATs. He's not bothered about that, mate. That's just to branch you off and put you in a certain class, in a certain group of learning. And now they have mixed groups of learning anyway. So this isn't going to hinder you or help you. Just go in and just do your very, very best.
Yeah.
And it's about learning how life works more than learning how to put pen to paper. Yeah. Because I know some kids who were really incredibly smart when we were in school and they do normal jobs or they don't amount to anything great. And there's other people who never really excelled in the classroom, but in life they do.
Yeah, no, I think it's true. I think, you know, we all have an experience ourselves, and that experience shapes on who we are. That's upbringing, that's school, that's friend circle, that's everything. You know, they say surround yourself with the people that you want to be like, and you'll become them. And it's so true. Surround yourself with the people you don't want to become like, and you'll become them as well. So, left school with nothing, ended up in Roby College. I ended up in Kirby College, was doing joinery.
I went to Kirby College.
There we go.
I was following you, Jamie. Following in the footsteps of the greats.
So Kirby College, graduated as a joiner, hated it, fell through a roof, broke me ribs, fractured my skull.
Oh, how did you?
Yeah, said that's not for me. And then ended up in Roby College doing public services, wants to be a outdoor education instructor. Done that. Then at the same time,
when you say an outdoor education instructor, what physical education instructor? Just
like a mountaineer, you know, who would guide people up mountains and things like that. I loved that. I loved outdoor. You know, I was a kayak instructor and climbing instructor at the time.
When you were a student at school, what were your occupational aspirations? What did you want to do when you left school? Didn't you have a vision?
I didn't know. No. You know, and I think, you know, my missus has got 2 kids, and their conversation is, you know, my conversation to them is, you know, you don't need to know what you want to be. It will just happen. It's about you just learning and going about, you know, school and being around the right people. Be around the right people. And for me, I've always been a charismatic person. So, you know, my mum used to say, oh, you know, he'll always be all right because he can talk to people. That's what she'd say. And at the same time, being in Roby College, I had a little part-time job working in an absolute dive bar in Matthew Street. And my auntie actually sent an email. I finished college. My auntie sent an email there's a place called the Living Room on Victoria Street, which was at the time a really nice bar and restaurant that was like prestigious. And I said, I don't need a job. I've already got a job. She said, no, I like drinking there. So she sent this email in, and I got the job. So I remember walking in and opening these big double doors, a fella playing the piano. Bar was full of people all in business suits, and I felt a bit out of depth. I was in, my new top man shirt and Burton pants and things. And then, I was only going for a glass collector job. And I remember, and it's a story I always tell, is I remember sitting at the booth waiting for the manager to come over, and this fella come over in a pinstripe suit, and he put his arm out and he said, Jamie, nice to meet you. Come round to the private dining room and, have an interview. And the questions he asked me had nothing to do with the job. He was saying, we believe in, looking after people. We believe in our people. We want to make sure that you get the best out of this. We want to develop you. We're a people development business. We're not a restaurant business. And he really inspired me. He really inspired me. Matt, his name was. And he's probably the reason why I'm sitting in the seat now, or the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, because he inspired me. I then went on to work my way up the ranks in that company. I was the youngest restaurant manager in the company at 19. I then went on to run Mosquito nightclub, which was another amazing place in the city. Learned customer excellence there, VIP service, how to look after people, how to, look after really well-to-do people. And then set up a little business then. To do my own thing, like consultancy. It was more like hospitality, restaurant consultancy. Was doing that, and then I got a phone call one day from a Scouser in Tenerife who owns a big restaurant group over there called Venture Restaurants. So I got headhunted by him over there, moved over.
Wonder how he heard about you, Jamie?
Well, it's a weird one actually. So my ex-girlfriend was a hostess working over there, and he put a post out on his Facebook at the time saying, I love Mosquito and love the Living Room. I'm looking for someone who works there as a manager to bring, to come over and do some consultancy in Tenerife. So I went over for 3 days. He flew me over for 3 days. I'd done sort of, walk around. Yeah, they had 6 restaurants at the time. Really good restaurant group. And after the 3 days, he said, do you want to move here? And we made an agreement and moved over. I went over as the group consultant.
How old were you?
I must have been 20, where are we now? 36. So I think it must have been about 26, yeah. 26, moved over there, and then got promoted to the operations director. So helped the company go from six sites to 12 sites, and a team of nearly 400 people. And I think I was there for 6 years.
Wow.
And learned there the importance of culture. Everything that I'd learned in hospitality in the UK, sort of brought over there and applied. But it was, how can you get a team of over 350 people behind an idea? And, I think culture at Ways to Wow is at our forefront. It's predominantly the main thing that we do, as well as the business coaching, because you can't create a wow experience in your business without creating a wow culture. Before you ask for more from team members, you've got to be able to give more. They've got to have the best environments. They've got to be there for them, not you. So many companies say, you're going on that training next week, and they send you to these things when actually they should be empowered, and they should bring, the team in the loop. So I learned the importance of culture. And, after obviously coming back to the UK, I was like, how can I put this into practice? This is what I'm good at: culture, customer experience, connection, business operations in general is my skill set. How can I put this into practice? And then I was, just in my mum's at the time, and she was saying, you're really good at like wowing people. She said, classic mum, you're really good at wowing people. So that's good. Yeah, that's good. Let's think of a name. And then we come up with Ways to Wow, and that's exactly what we do.
When you got the name Ways to Wow in your mind at that time, did you have a clear vision, Jamie, of what you wanted this to look like? Or did you sort of just like run with it and build as it went? Or did you think, right, it's going to be purple, it's going to be... Because if you say to me, ways to how I see purple, you know, did you have that vision that it was going to look like that, it was going to feel like that, you know? Could you feel it? Could you see it?
So I've done a bit of research in it, looking again of, you know, the brand and the emotion. It started looking at what is wow. What is wow? What is the emotion behind it? And when I was first starting, it reminded me of like Disney. You know, Disney is like magic, you know, so I was looking at the purples and things like that. Purples actually, you know, every colour has something associated with it. So for example, purple is education and magic. So I thought, okay, if it's going to be a training company, education suits and magic ties into magical moments, wow moments. But I didn't have the long-term vision. I just had the feeling of actually going in and actually helping businesses turn the business around, working with business owners, but also developing teams. And then as we sort of got a bit of traction, that then led to actually an idea. And that idea was to, you know, to become a UK wide, well, a global wide now, but in the beginning it was UK wide, motivational training company that, you know, helps people and brands exceed expectations through immersive events, coaching, and like-minded communities. So the idea then grew into, you know, putting on motivational business events similar to what you'd see in the US, but bringing them sort of to the UK. That's our goal. So our goal is to be an event company, a business event company, business and personal growth event company. But then obviously we've got the coaching arm and we've got the culture arm, we've got workshops and things like that. That's all included into it because, you know, look at the world, look at business, look at yourself. You know, you joined a couple of weeks ago because you wanted to level up. And I think everybody wants to level up. And it doesn't matter if there's a crisis, it doesn't matter what's going on in the world. People will always want to level up. And if you can associate yourself around people that want to level up and want to grow and want to, you know, be better every single day, then you're going to be better. And, you know, I think it's worry, you know, the media and everything that you see and everything that we hear of what's going to happen, is it's fear. Yet we need to deal with the things like, you know, rising minimum wage and all that type of stuff, VAT and whatever it may be. But the reality is there's not much you can do about that apart from get better. If you don't get better, you're going to suffer more. So what would you rather do?
I live in my own economy. The global economy is nothing to do with me. I just have mine. Yeah. Like people say to me, oh, it looks bleak out there at the minute, does it? For you it might, but for me it doesn't. Because I just think if the sun comes up and as long as there's glass in the window, I want to do work regardless. Yeah. And that's my own attitude because otherwise I live in fear. Yeah. And I can't do that. So I don't watch the news or anything, Jamie. No. I just stay in my own lane consistently. Yeah. People, if you ask me now what's going on in the world, I couldn't really tell you because I don't look outside. Mm. And some people say that's crazy, you should, but I just don't feel it's relevant to me because I could look outside all I want, but I can't control it. Yeah. So what's the point of me worrying about something what I can't control? Yeah. I'm building knowledge on something that I can't have no power over is not really of any value to me.
No, definitely. And I think, you know, diluted focus leads to diluted results. So I think, you know, worrying about something, looking at those thoughts before 60 to 120,000 thoughts a day, if you're worrying of who's going to be the next president of America and who's going to be doing this and who's going to be doing that, it's got nothing to do with how many people, how you getting people through your doors or the impact you're making every day with, you know, in your circle.
When you mentioned Disney, then you told me some statistics a couple of weeks ago about Disney, and I'd want you to share them with whoever's watching because it fucking blew my mind. How many staff have Disney got?
I think they've got about 260,000 staff, turnover of 84 billion a year, and they call themselves the happiest place on earth. You know, you look at Disney as a reference because, and not the fake Disney that's in Paris, the real Disney, that, you know, you go there. And then the team are fully on board with creating those wow moments. The team want to go the extra mile. The team they buy into the brand and to the idea.
How do you wow? How do you get 260,000 people on board one idea?
So it's a big strategy, and it sounds a lot, but the most important part of, you know, integrating someone into your business to get them feel the ethos and the emotion that you want, you know, that you want to spread is the onboarding stage. You know, and the onboarding stage, it's the same as going on a date. You know, if you go on a date with somebody and you're like, you know what, I don't know, I don't feel it, like, you know, don't really feel it. Give me the ick. Give me the ick. But you know what, I've got nothing else on. You've got nothing else on.
We'll have a slice.
we might as well see how it goes, and then something else comes along in that's something else that's shiny and looks better, and you know, the person's off or whatever. So I think with the onboarding, you've got to treat it like you're on a date with the person who's starting for you, and that's about showing them what the company is, not what you want them to know, but what the company is and why it's good for them and how you can develop them and why it's important that, you know, they understand what you're striving for, what are the values of the company, what's the habits, the behaviors, the mindset of the company. And I think if you do that, you'll integrate people and you'll retain people much longer because they've been onboarded properly. And once we spoke before about transactional and transformational, most people start in a business with transaction. There's your job role. There's your responsibilities. That's what we want you to do. When the reality is that's a core fundamental to actually teach someone the job. But the purpose behind why they actually work for you is the emotion and the energy that normally gets missed out. So Disney specialize in, you know, building or creating you know, memorable experiences. They do that by putting culture at the heart of every single thing they do. And to get a wow culture starts with getting a wow personality. And 9 times out of 10, you've got to hire someone who actually believes what you believe, and they are bought into the purpose. So, you know, a quick exercise would be, what are your company values, and how can you recruit on those company values? You know, so if you are saying that we are energetic and influential, well, are you only hiring energetic and influential people? Because if you're not standing against them values, and you're pulling your hair out saying, why have we got no one like that?
Do you hire on character over skill every time?
We hire on character over skill all the time, because I think, you know, one of our values is emotional intelligence, and emotional intelligence is, you know, broken down into 4 areas. It's your self-awareness, self-regulation, your motivation, your empathy, and your social awareness. So sorry, it's 5 areas. So, you know, your self-regulation, self-awareness is when you're aware of what you're saying and what you're doing. How many times have you worked for somebody in the past that hasn't been aware of how they act? They haven't been aware of when they make someone upset, or, you know, their tone of voice or whatever. They haven't been aware that they're on the phone and someone's trying to have a conversation with them. Self-regulation is keeping your emotions regulated, you know, even in a heated moment, not to blow, you know. And empathy is obviously putting yourself in someone else's shoes. Your social awareness is actually how you actually interact in a space with other people. And your motivation is how motivated you are to do something. So one of our values is emotional intelligence. And when we look at team members, especially leaders who are managing teams, you know, we always assess, have they got emotional intelligence? We started a recruitment company a few months ago, and one of the core points of it, at the forefront of it, is an emotional intelligence assessment. Because if we were to, you know, if me and you now we had an engineering company, and we wanted to recruit somebody to come and lead everybody at the engineer company, we'd interview 10 people, and those 10 people would all have amazing CVs, and these 10 people all sounded amazing. But what would make them different is the person that can actually lead the team, and to understand who can lead the team. It's emotional intelligence. So the best companies in the world who are creating these memorable wow moments and, you know, exceeding expectations and becoming a brand that, you know, an iconic brand, are the ones that specialize in emotional intelligence and put that at the forefront. You know, develop their people, are honest, saying, we know that you want to be a nurse, Nancy, but at the same time, we're going to develop you and you're going to be the best you've ever been. But you know what? We wish you well when you go. We wish you well, because people do have other aspirations. And I think there's a lot of companies and a lot of business owners out there that like, I need everyone here. I need everyone here. And I think when you understand to actually, to be a little bit more laid back and to actually be there for your team, then you get a better result, because they can see that. And obviously we don't want our team to leave, and we don't want them to go on to do things that, that's going to jeopardize the business or whatever. But at the same time, if you are developing people, and if you have your people at your best interest and you're serving them, then, they're going to work for you.
What do you think is key to success in business?
I think the key to success in business is consistency. I think if you haven't got consistency in everything you do, consistency of the people you recruit, consistency in your product or services, consistency in your marketing, and consistency in your experience, people are just not going to come back. And I think if you only get one opportunity to create a wow moment. You only get one opportunity to wow your customers. You only get one opportunity to wow a new team member before they start thinking, this is not for me, before they start thinking, I'm not coming back, before they start thinking, I think I'll go over there. And if you look at the amount of competition that you have now, especially on social media, you're not competing against a competitor in your own city. You're competing against somebody. You're competing against somebody that's being in another experience of the person. So, for example, if you go to a restaurant tonight for a steak and the steak is no good, or the steak's mediocre, you're going to compare that to the steak that you had in Dubai, where the fella come out and sprinkled salt on it and give you the whole song and dance, because that's your competition. So
that's what we do. If you go for a cocktail in town, you might be like, oh yeah, but remember them ones, what we had in Rome, babe, or whatever. Yeah. That's what your missus will say, and you compare it to the best you've had. You compare it to the best you've had, and that's the problem at the moment that you've got running a business, is that if you're not wowing, you're not winning. That's a phrase that I always say, and it's so true, because if you're not wowing, you are not winning in business. If you're not, exceeding expectations, then you're not going to be winning. When do you wow? Is there a key moment in transaction, or is there a key moment in when someone, you're doing business with someone or whatever? Would you say there's moments that you've got to know when to wow, Jamie? Because deliverance is everything, isn't it? It's a good question. So it's using every single opportunity to exceed an expectation. Wowing is exceeding expectations. Our brand slogan is exceed expectations, and looking at how to create the wow moments is literally looking at something that's going to break their pattern. So if you go to a hotel and you say, you know what, let's go and stay in Manchester, we're going to go and stay in this hotel in Manchester or whatever, or London or anywhere, you've got an idea of what's going to happen. In your head, you think, we're going to turn up to this hotel, we're going to check in on reception, we're going to go to the room, and then we're going to go and do something else. But the minute something breaks your pattern, and the minute that something happens that you didn't expect to happen, or surprised you, or educated you, or excited you, or made you feel appreciated, then that's what creates a memory. So wow moments create memories, because when you can break a pattern, because we said everyone's asleep, so everyone's asleep. So when someone does something that's unexpected, it makes them wake up. I was listening to The Power of Now, and it was saying like 90% of people are they're not present, and they're not awake. And like, I was listening when I was walking with my headphones on, and I started looking around at all the people who were out and about at the time, and it was crazy because so many people were just all doing their own thing in their own world, and it was like, who is awake, who is present, who is there, who's aware. Yeah. Because a lot of us are just in this like flow state where we're not really aware of what we're doing, are we, Jamie? We're not. And I think when you were saying before of what is ways to wow, and I said about the personal element as well as the business, well, the wow model, which is surprise, excite, educate, and appreciate, also works as a high performance tool.
because it's looking at, are you creating surprising moments in your life, you know, by getting outside your comfort zone? Are you surprising yourself by saying, you know what, I'm outside my comfort zone? Are you feeling excited by looking forward to things? You know, have you always got, you know, are you getting off the merry-go-round of business and you're looking forward to actually doing things? Because, you know, if you're working in the business instead of on the business, you're never going to get away from it. You know, are you educating yourself to become a master in what you're doing the one thing over and over and over that you actually specialize in? You know, all masters are always students, you know, so it's always being a student. And, you know, looking at appreciating yourself, getting time to reflect, you know, and looking back at what you achieved. You know, you were with us on the mastermind group yesterday.
It was amazing.
Did you enjoy it?
Really, really, really enjoyed it.
What did you get out of it the most?
Being a part of that room. Just come out of there and just thought, like, what a privilege that was to just sit around the table with that many people who were just, like, on the same wavelength as I was, all wanting to improve, all wanting to better themselves, all helping each other out as well.
Yeah.
Like, you come up with something and, you know, other people in the room will be like, well, I'd do this, or why don't you do that? Coming up with suggestions. And I spoke about this before with you. Business can be a lonely place. It is a lonely place, and it's an amazing place as well. But it can get lonely sometimes, and sometimes you could have obstacles, challenges, ideas, insecurities, and they're all questions in your mind. Am I doing the right thing? How can I do that? The mastermind group was amazing in that sense, because you can open up and say, yeah, what about this? What about that? And they'll help you.
No, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it, mate. And I think, yeah, I think with the reflection part, it's looking back at what you've achieved. You know, it's so easy to keep looking forward. You know, we spoke about that yesterday. Keep looking forward. What's next? What's 2025's goals? What are we doing? You know, what's on this weekend? Where's the next holiday? What are we doing? When actually we're not being present. You're teaching yourself to look forward constantly, when actually the most important thing is now. The most important thing is being present and being the best you can be. You know, exceeding expectations in the moment. You know, because that's all that matters. That's all that matters is now, the power of now.
Can you share a book or a philosophy that's deeply influenced your approach to business?
There's so many.
What's your Bible, Jamie? Or what would you say has been a catalyst for change for you, or a massive inspiration, something that either A, got you going, B, was pivotal for you, where you were like, whoa, read that changed, or, you know, something that you go back to again and again and again and again, where you say, like, that works?
Good question. I think there's so many. I think I have books that are references for different things, and I will go back and read them or listen to them again on the audio. I think some of the best books I've read, you know, one of them was, you know, Tony Robbins' book.
Okay, I'll rephrase it. If you were new to business, yeah, and there was a go-to book, what you'd say would help you,
yeah,
what would that be?
Okay, the best book I would say if you're getting into business now, if you've got a business, is what I thought was the most relevant, easy to digest and easy to understand, with practical tools in that you can actually, you know, put into place, is Patrick Bet-David, 5 Moves Ahead. Have you read it?
No. So I'm just like, no.
Yeah, it's a really good book.
That now, Megan.
Yeah, it's a really good book. It's simple. I love Patrick Bet-David. He says it how it is. I think there's so much content out there that there comes to a point of how much content are you going to digest before you execute it. You know, we've all got tons and tons of notes, tons and tons of ideas, tons and tons of, you know, YouTube videos out there, and getting spammed on socials with loads of information and the next way to make money and the next way to do, you know, to become a millionaire. And we're constantly looking at how and why and what we can do and what if, and should they change it? And when actually it's just about doing one thing. Have a focus. What is the focus for this month? My focus for this month is productivity. Okay, I want to read a book on productivity. I want to do podcasts on productivity. And to become a master in something, you need to be doing something 20 minutes a day. 20 minutes a day is how you achieve mastery. So 20 minutes a day on productivity, instead of going on my phone, because I'm normally on my phone for 4 hours, so I'm sure I can do 20 minutes. And then, you know, what's the focus for January? January's habits. I'm going to read Atomic Habits, I'm going to, I've read it, I've already read it, but I'm going to read it again because that's a great book for habits. I'm going to put it into practice. I'm going to build a habit tracker. I'm going to track my habits. And
good way to start the year.
Exactly. So it's about having a focus because, when you have diluted focus, you get diluted results.
Crazy, because my next question was, what habits or routines have been crucial to your success?
Yeah. Go on. So habits and routines have been critical to my success. I would say I think now is cold showers. Why? The cold shower is I've learned discipline from the cold shower, more discipline.
Discipline's necessary in business, isn't it, Jamie? Because motivation, fleeting.
Exactly. It is. And I think we can all be motivated by something, but are you actually going to do it? So the cold shower with discipline, I think writing down no more than 3 things a day that I want to focus on. Just 3 things, because your to-do list is never going to end. It's about just focusing on, Brian Tracy calls it your 3 frogs, eating your frog, doing the first worst thing possible first. Imagine picking up a frog from the floor and eating it. It'd be disgusting. So your first task needs to be disgusting. So do the first thing first, otherwise you'll procrastinate.
Worst first.
Second
the best. You're the one
Second
with the
best. There we go. Never heard that before. I like it. And then, cold showers. I'd say doing your to-do list no more than 3. I'd say, what else? Routines. I'd say, do you know what? This is a big one. I used to try so hard making videos. I used to try so hard trying to be somebody that I wasn't. And it took me off the direction. And what I mean by that is it's very easy to be influenced by the people that influence you. And I think it boils down to who you are. And if we take too much influence from people, we become a chameleon. And that leads to uncertainty and lack of clarity on who you actually are. One of the habits that I have done for myself is I recorded something many years ago of me saying a phrase, and it's just about myself. It's just about myself, of like who I am, what I like, and what I'm actually doing. And I just played it every morning. I get in the car, and it's only a 2-minute thing. And I just put it on.
That's amazing. Remind you of who you are.
Yeah, because it's my voice. So I listen to it 3 times. It's 6 minutes. And, if word for word, and it's an affirmation. It's an affirmation to reprogram again. It sets me up for the day, because it says, right, okay, that's what I'm going to do today. It's my purpose of what I want to do. And, my purpose is to elevate human connection and experience. So every single thing that I'm trying to do is to build a connection with somebody, to contribute as much as I can without asking for anything back, and to create an experience that they're going to remember. And, the habit of actually, doing that and listening to something over and over of yourself saying something, is so powerful in so many ways we don't even understand, because it goes into your psyche. Yeah.
These are 2 questions that I never had, but I'm going to ask you them now because they've come to me. Do you feel like you're fully aligned with your purpose?
I think I am, and I didn't used to be, and I think I am now.
You're at 1 now, Jamie.
I know I'm at 1, and why? And people always say to me, for example, why are you always positive? And people used to think that I'm a fake. Like you're acting. You're too positive. It's not that I'm too positive. It's the fact that I just don't let any negative get into my zone. And if there's always a positive situation to put on a negative, it's training your mind. I used to say I was a mindset coach, and then I was like, everyone's jumping on this coaching thing now. Everyone wants to be a mindset coach or whatever. But it is really, it's about how you can train your mind. We're all mindset coaches, and it's how you talk to yourself. And I think that, if you look at the way you get up of a morning, the first words that you actually think of, are they serving you, or are they taking against, of actually what you want to do? And I think when we look at purpose, in the early days, I was always trying to be somebody else, always trying to, I was obsessed with Tony Robbins, for example. I want to be Tony Robbins. I want to be, Gary Vee, because I was obsessed with all these people when I was starting my business. And
Jordan Peterson.
yeah, they're all brilliant. And it's about taking reference from them. But what is it that you actually do? And it's only recently where I've connected with my purpose, because I've understood what it is that Ways to Wow specializes in, and how we can help, how we can help impact. And that is connection. My thing is connection and experience, because, everybody else started somewhere. Everybody else wants to try and be like somebody else, but everybody who they want to be like has got a backstory, and they didn't start out doing that. It's about just being you and being authentic.
You're getting it right. If you want feedback from someone who's actually working with you, I can feel authenticity in what you do.
Yeah.
So you're getting it right.
Yeah.
We've got to be authentic, haven't we, to create true connection.
Yeah.
And I believe that you're doing it right, Jamie. The other question I had for you was, do you believe that you are performing at your optimum?
No.
Now?
No. No, I'd say definitely not. We're all human. We're all human. Definitely not. I think this year is probably the best year I've had in regards to optimal performance, to high performance, because I've went deep in regards to the habits and actually getting into a flow and into an actual routine of actually putting things into practice. And it's about understanding when you do fall off the wagon, getting back on the horse, and that's what it's about. So optimal performance, no, I would say that anyone said that they are at optimal performance.
The lion.
Yeah, the lion, and that's I always, when we work with people, especially like business owners, or you've got teams or whatever, they say, how do I know this person's right? How do I know I'm doing a good job? How do I know this is going to work? And I say, it will, and we can get a result with you, but are you coachable? And anybody that says they're the best at what they do are probably not coachable, because they've probably got a little bit of
ego in there.
Yeah, ego. And
we can always learn, Jamie, can't we? I always believe, like, no matter what I know or do, I don't care how vast your knowledge is, or who you are, or where you've been, or what you've seen, we can all learn.
Yeah.
And the second you believe that, you've completed it, mate. Second you believe that, you know what you're doing 100%. It's the second that you start to deteriorate.
Yeah.
You've got to innovation's key and listening's key. I'll touch on that shortly. What advice would you give to your younger self?
Advice to my younger self is, it's a good question. I'd probably say just put your passion at the forefront. When we say passion, people get lost in two words: purpose and passion. What is that? What is my purpose and passion? I don't know my purpose. Your purpose and passion is basically what are you good at? What do you enjoy doing? What do you enjoy doing? What lights you up? And I think what my advice to my younger self would be, just keep going. Like Nemo says, just keep swimming. Is because things will just happen. Things will just come to you. You will end up where you're supposed to be if you just, stop overthinking everything. Stop overthinking everything. Have a bit of, you need direction as we get older. But my younger self, it's about learning, isn't it? Younger self is experience. The only thing that I would say, the advice I would give my younger self is I would have dropped the ego much sooner. I think ego is the death of the human, and I think ego comes across in everybody, and even sometimes me.
We've all got it. It's just containing it, controlling it, and being aware of it.
Being aware of it, and that boils down into the emotional intelligence of being self-aware when your ego is coming across. And I think...
And regulating it.
And regulating it. And when you can be authentic, authenticity builds trust. Trust builds relationships build connection. So I think you can spot someone who's got an ego, and you can spot someone who hasn't. And I think to have a genuine conversation with no ego involved and no judgment or no representation of the person,
it's powerful, isn't it?
It is. Well, it's effort. What the difference is, it's effortless. It's effortless. And going back to a relationship, or going back to this podcast now, is, when you can have a conversation with somebody effortless. If it's someone you're on a date with, you're probably thinking that, you know what, this is an effortless conversation. This is a nice conversation. You know, there's no trying to big over each other or whatever. And the same as with another person.
It makes you feel at ease, doesn't it?
It does, because it's draining. You know, it's draining to be in a room with people who are fake. It's draining to work with people who are fake.
Eventually as well, it shines through, doesn't it, that you're not supposed to be a part of that room. So no matter how much effort or time you put into trying to become something you're not, eventually it'll always fall apart anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a waste of, it's a waste of energy.
Yeah.
What do you believe makes a great mentor?
I think what makes a great mentor, well, before we talk about mentor, let's talk about coach. So there's a difference between a coach and a mentor. A coach, anyone can be a coach. Coaching is about asking questions to push performance and to make the person better. So what's the problem and how can we get a result? How can you get a result? A coach is to make the person think for themselves so they change. Nobody likes getting told what to do. So a coach is to empower the person to think for themselves to change. A mentor, on the other end, is somebody that, you know, does give that bit of advice and guidance because it's based on their past experience. So I think what makes a good mentor...
I've just learned something there.
There we go. I think to be a good mentor, you need to, you know, share your life experience, make everything relevant. You know, if the lessons that you've learned, don't try and tell people what to do, because if you tell somebody to do something and it's not the right decision, they're going to come back for you. And I think that's the difference, is if you're coaching somebody and you want to get them up to a level, to high performance, or to achieve a certain result, it's asking different questions to make them think for themselves. And going back to the robotic part of people that are asleep, loads of management and people who run businesses try and tell their staff what to do all the time. They're micromanagers. But the minute that you ask a question, the minute you ask them, you know, what they think, or, you know, what's your feedback, or how can we improve this,
you facilitate it.
You facilitate it, but then they wake up because they've been on autopilot, and now they're waking up and now they've got to think. You do that more and more and more. They start to think themselves. They start to do the job properly. They start to build your culture. They start to be empowered, and you start to get more time as a business owner. I think with the mentorship, you know, my background's hospitality. So anyone who's got like restaurants and bars and clubs and has a hospitality business, hotels, you know, I will give them mentorship, you know, on how to save more money, how to make more money, because that's my experience. Anybody can be a coach, but you should only get a mentor of, you know, somebody that's actually walk the walk and talk the talk. So
should you say a coach would maybe show you the path where a mentor would take you down it?
A mentor would take you down it. They'd still coach you, but they'd give you guidance on it. They'd give you quick wins, and they'd save you money. I mean, you could say that I'm a leadership mentor because I've led teams, and I'd say that's fine to say, but it's to make a great mentor is the main thing. To sum it up, is influence. Of how are you influencing? You can't be a mentor.
Knowledge.
Yeah, not knowledge and influence. You can't be a mentor if you haven't got good habits yourself, and, you know, got a good way of thinking, or you've got ego, or you're not authentic, or you can't lead the team. You know, because there's so many people, once again, that are just blagging it.
I think we've got to have the skills to teach the skills, Jamie.
Yeah.
What do you think makes a great entrepreneur or business person?
A great entrepreneur or business person, I would say it's vision. I would say it's vision. You know, looking at what something looks like before it even happens. You know, getting a team behind an idea. You know, and that's the purpose of an entrepreneur. And if you're a solo entrepreneur and you're working on yourself, you're working with yourself, you don't have a team yet. It's looking at the vision of what is it you actually want to achieve. What is it? Write your vision down. What is it? Write it down into a sentence. What does it look like? What does it feel like? Because when you can associate vision with feeling, that then changes behavior. It becomes transformational, not transactional. So if you can create vision of actually what you want to do, that's going to get you excited. And even on a down day, which we all have, even on a down day, you'll need to close your eyes and think of that vision, and you're back on the horse. You know, you're back looking forward. So entrepreneurs, as well as vision, are also, you know, used to failure, used to people saying no. And I think that's massive part of success, because it's so easy to get frustrated of when things not going your way. It's so easy to look inwards and start doubting yourself. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. I'm going to give up. Is this worth it? Should I go back? What, all these type of things. When the reality is, it's about controlling your mind and getting after it.
Do you believe that entrepreneurs are born or created?
It's another good question. I think
they're born.
I think it's a good question. I think it's a certain type of person. It's a certain type of way of thinking, because it's exceeding expectations.
I don't think it can be taught, Jamie. I think you can work on it and you can build on it, but I don't believe you could get a normal everyday person and just change them into an entrepreneur. I believe that you're either you either have that character trait, that's either in you or it isn't.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
No, I would agree to a certain extent that you can't turn everybody into an entrepreneur. Definitely not. I think what you can do is, when you spot that somebody is, has a shared mindset, they have the same mindset of you, then they can definitely become an entrepreneur with coaching and mentorship,
guidance,
with guidance. But they've got to have the mindset and confidence to lean into something, because most people lean out to something.
Got to be a risk taker, haven't you?
Yeah.
How do you overcome obstacles and navigate challenges in business?
By trying to put a positive spin on everything. What is the outcome? How can I make the most out of this opportunity? How can I make the most out of this opportunity? Because things go wrong all the time. Like all the time, you're constantly firefighting. But if you're looking at, okay, what's the opportunity? You change it to, instead of what's the problem, what's the opportunity? And the opportunity might be, I'm going to have to go home and sort this out now. Or the opportunity might be, well, actually, I was thinking about that anyway. Or it could be anything, but it's looking at the opportunity, because if you start getting behind the problem's going to eat you up, and you can't solve what you can't control.
If you had a message to anybody who is watching this podcast right now who has got an issue with their business, or they're going through a really tough time, or they're having setbacks, what would that message be, Jamie?
If they're having really tough times and setbacks, the message is clarify what the issues are. Clarify what the issues are. So break things down. We let things overcomplicate us. So what is the issues? Break it down. If the problem is sales, I need more money, we need more money, then the problem is not sales. The problem is your marketing. And the solution is, what can you do to actually up your marketing and up your game? And there's many, many ways what to do. We spoke about flyering yesterday, didn't we, in the mastermind, of just the fact of getting a flyer and going out and reaching to people, and speaking to people, building connection. And yeah, it's not the best thing to do, but the fact is, you do it enough times, you get business.
The other thing is, I'm a great believer of, Jamie, and Gary V, we spoke about him before, also mentioned this a lot. There's certain areas that are saturated in terms of marketing and stuff like that. So like a lot of people, Instagram is marketing heavy, and there's a lot more traffic on Instagram than Facebook. So Gary V says, well, put your ads on Facebook and you probably get more return, because there's less people in that space actually advertising in the space. And I believe the old school ways of marketing, like going out and handing a flyer out, is dying. So if you actually put yourself in that space, there'll be less people doing it. You know what I mean? So you might get more return.
Yeah.
As to, throwing a fish in a pond that's already full of fish. You just go to the other pond down the road, there's less there. Do you know what I mean? So it's trying to use your head and see what works. And what works for one person doesn't work for everyone else. As you said to me, there's no silver bullet. If there was, we'd all be millionaires. If I could say to you, Jamie, how should I advertise my business? And you went, well, do that and it'll guaranteed work. You're going to do this amount of turnover, but just do it.
Yeah, and I think people get frustrated when they don't get a result out of one avenue. There's multiple avenues. You've got to be doing the flyer drops, the Instagram, the Facebook, the LinkedIn, whatever it is, the talks. You've got to be doing everything. When everything is not working, then, review it. but don't get frustrated when you're doing one thing. Don't get frustrated when you're not getting business, when you're not doing unsponsored ads. Don't get frustrated.
Yeah, people get worked up about where they're not getting results for work that they haven't put in. I went to an event once and we were all sitting down in this room, and this guy stood up who was like, taking the event. He was like the host, and he asked me a question and I didn't know the answer. And it's something I haven't thought about for a while, but something that's just come back to me now. And he said to me, if you could pick one person you could get into contact with who could change your business, who would it be? And I didn't know the answer. And he was like, you need to think about that. Because if you haven't got that vision or that person on your radar, then you're not going to find them. So have a little think about who could help you, who could guide you, who could change your business, who could help you grow, and then put them on the radar and find that person. Yeah. And it was like, wow, it took me back a little bit. And it was just food for thought, and it was something that made me think and something I thought I'd share. What have been the most pivotal moments for you in your career so far?
The pivotal moment in my career so far, I would say, it was moving to Tenerife. That was the pivotal moment of, stepping up and leveling up. Moving over there, taking on a big role. And diving into it, marketing. I'd say I'm a creative, I'm a marketeer. I love operations, but it all boils down to marketing. We opened, another 6 different restaurants, all with different brand identities. So every single concept from 12 places, which was a mixture of, bars, restaurants, everyone was a different theme. Everyone had different products. Everyone had different chips. Everything was different because we wanted to give people that who were going on holiday to have an experience. We wanted to give, if someone was there for 2 weeks, to give them a different restaurant.
Yeah, because it's like, if you're going somewhere and it's like, that was similar to blah, blah, but it was nice there, but it was very similar to there, where it's like, we went there and then the next day it was different and the next day it was different. It keeps it fresh, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, it definitely
does.
And
it doesn't matter how good something is. If I done you the most amazing food, if you ate it every day, it'd become boring.
Yeah. And
variety's the spice of life, isn't it?
It is. It definitely is. And I think it's, I think with the variety of all the different places, I learned the importance of clarifying a brand, what a brand is, how to stand out in your market, and how to actually, build a team of people with a certain different personality and skill sets that sell that product and service. And I'd say recently a pivotal change by fine tuning what we actually want to do and not to be like everybody else. So, looking at other training companies and coaching companies, they all specialize in business coaching or, team training or whatever. And we were in a position where we said, well, we want to teach this, the Wow ethos, and there's multiple workshops that are behind that. We had about 25 to 27 workshops, can't remember the exact number, on how we would go into a big company and start shaping their culture and customer experience. And now we've got 9, because we said we cut it back and say these are the 9 core things that we do better than anybody else.
Less is more.
Less is more.
And less gives clarity, Jamie, as well.
It does. And then the coaching, so we do obviously high performance coaching and we do build your brand coaching. And it just, what are the 2 things or what are the 3 things that you do better than everybody else, and just, refining it. And I see this everywhere, of people trying to do what everyone else is doing. And the idea is to do the complete opposite of what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, because then you're individual.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you. If you weren't doing what you were doing and Ways to Wow weren't your business, what would you be attracted to, Jamie, or where do you think's got growth or a good product or a good business idea or a good market? What would you be more drawn to?
I think...
What excites you? Do you see something now and think, good business?
I think I'd be leading a team. I think I'm a people person, so I'd be drawn to a company. I'd be drawn to any company in any industry that had a good culture and had a good, a good vibe about it. That's what I'd be attracted to.
Is there any products in the market that excite you now in this day and age? Anyone who comes to you with a business and goes, right, I'm doing this, and you think, oh, that's a good business?
Anything that excites me now, business-wise? Yeah, Greenland Brands, of course. What's a good business? I think what excites me most is when we sit down with entrepreneurs, business owners, the likes of yourself, and they come to us with an idea and they come to us with a vision. That's what excites me at the minute, is listening to their vision and helping and playing a small part in making that vision come alive, because that's what lights me up. That's what we do.
What you love, it's what you do.
It's what we do, yeah.
How do you define success? What's success to Jamie Wray? What does success look like for you?
If success looks like for me as an individual, success looks like for me is living my values every day and serving my purpose. That is what success is for me. And everything that comes beyond that, money and, you know, business performance, is a result of doing them things. And I think some people try and cut corners to be successful. To be successful, you've got to be authentic. To be successful, you've got to build a personal brand. To be successful, you've got to focus on what you do better than everybody else.
You've got to do the hard miles as well, Jamie. Yeah. That is a true belief of mine. Otherwise, your business hasn't got substance. Like, there's people who just want to jump step 4 and 5 to get to 7. And it's like, you know, it doesn't work like that. You no matter how fast some people do climb quicker than others, but you still got to do all them steps. And if you don't do the hard miles and you don't put the work in, you won't get the results. Yeah. Or you'll find yourself there'll be gaps down the line in your game.
Yeah.
How do you help your clients or mentees or students align with their own purpose and values in business?
Okay, so good question. So we've got a program called Build Your Brand. So the Build Your Brand is a 6-month program. That's what you're on, which takes business owners through a framework of 4 workshops of building brand DNA, which is all about purpose, mission, vision, values. What is your USP? What do you do better than everybody else? And this is not death by PowerPoint or talk, and this is a really creative exercise that brings all the energy and the reason why you started the business to the forefront. Once we've got that, we can then work on the marketing, you know, looking at how we put that into practice. How does your messaging and what's your story? You know, everybody, we're all programmed to listen to stories.
We like a story, don't we?
We like a story. So what's the story of your brand? Then looking at all that information to put into the operations of the experience. What is your internal and external experience? What's the internal experience for your team? Looking at, you know, your employee journey design, your onboarding design, what job roles look like, what perks look like, milestones, rewards, all of that type of stuff. And then your external is all your customer journey, your experience, your what we call wow moments engineering, to engineering wow moments that happen consistently, not just one-off. So you've got a success model to actually create excellence within a huge operation or a small operation, doesn't matter. And then going on to the next workshop, which is revenue on repeat, of how do we actually create systems and automation to make your business make as much money as possible, so you can actually have more time developing the business instead of working in the business. And then obviously we have coaching bolted onto that. But I think the main way to get the energy behind the business and out of it is everybody needs a coach. You know, I've got a coach, and I think sometimes, predominantly a lot of the time, the business owner knows what they want, and a person who wants to get a certain result knows what they want, but they need guidance. They need mentorship. They need, you know, a soundboard that can actually help them. And because people have doubt, you know, is this the right decision?
I do.
Yeah.
We all do. That's where you've helped me massively. I'll let you with something, you'll come back and say, yeah, that's good. Or, oh, I could change that, or whatever. And it's good to have somebody who's like a peer to you, because if you're just at the helm of something, you're making all the decisions with no direction. You've got direction, but with no counsel, no one around you to say that's good or that's bad, and counsel with experience. So I think that's a fundamental of what you do. This is a question I like. Business is full of confrontation. if not with others, definitely with yourself.
Yeah.
Because we have to confront ourselves every day, fears, challenges, and all what comes with it. And then there's tough conversations and difficult decisions. How do you deal with that side of things, and what advice would you give to others in these situations?
So, tough conversations are a difficult one that most people feel, outside the comfort zone with. And I think your job is to not demotivate somebody. Sorry, your job is not to motivate somebody. Your job is not to, it's not to demotivate them. So not to motivate them, just not to demotivate them. Because so many people think that they need to be running around motivating people when they don't, because you got introverts and extroverts. It's about not demotivating. So I think difficult conversations are what we spoke about before about success and being an entrepreneur and, leaning forward and taking risks and leaning forward. And I think difficult conversations are probably when you're going to make the biggest movement, firing a person that you've wanted to fire for a while, who's just, not adding any value to your business. Looking at the person that is not serving you or whatever, difficult conversations of when you get butterflies in your belly that's when you know that it's a step needs to be taken. And how do you do that? That's down to you. That's down to how you're speaking to yourself once again in your mind. And that's about you taking a step to actually, to move forward. And it is as simple as that.
A lot of business owners, including myself, this is something that someone's definitely going to take something from if they're watching this, and as a business owner, tend to feel overwhelmed. It was a big topic yesterday, and a lot of people come back with similar feedback. We feel overwhelmed a lot of the time, and because of the intensity of what we're doing. How would you propose to manage and process the intense, overwhelming feeling we can suffer from on a daily basis?
Self-regulation. So self-regulation is, we spoke about yesterday, of looking at your day or your calendar for the week and your schedule, and looking at where's your time getting taken up in the day or the week, and it's putting in blocks, and it's having discipline to put them blocks in to make sure that you can regulate. For example, I was doing back-to-back meetings constantly, and getting to the end of the day, and then having to type up loads of notes of, summarising meetings and things like that and sessions, when actually now I have a buffer and I don't have another meeting until, there's a buffer in, and I've got time to regulate myself, I've got time to eat, I've got a drink, and, whatever it may be, having a lunch break, taking a little walk, getting some fresh air, gathering my thoughts, going back in. And it's self-regulation is so important because, there's a culture as an entrepreneur to, hustle, grind, get up at 4 o'clock, beat everybody, and, all this type of, bullshit, to be honest, that is like, it is because it's a fad. It's about you turning up, putting you as a person at the forefront of what you want to do in regards to being authentic, and actually, stop being so, self-satisfied in actually what you want to do. Take things slow, have some patience. Rome wasn't built in a day. Take things step by step. Steve Jobs said, looking forward, you can't see the dots, but looking back, you can see every dot, and every dot made sense. Every move made sense. And I think sometimes it's constantly rush, because that's what entrepreneurial mindset is. When the reality is, if you just took another step back, if you focused and concentrated a little bit more on the small details, that would then compound as you grow into something much bigger than what you expected.
Definitely. Me and a friend were having a deep conversation a couple of weeks ago. You'll like this one. You'll have an input. This is a spontaneous one. We're in part of this process, but it is now. We were having this conversation about deep work, and I said, he's like, a great believer of getting up early in the morning, going out, mashing it and blah, blah, blah. And I was saying, do you crash? Sometimes, yeah, by 3 o'clock and this, that and the other. And I said, well, what about if you had a good night's sleep, yeah? And instead of working an 8-hour day, say if you worked 4, but in that 4, you didn't answer your phone, you didn't chat balls to to Miss Jones. You didn't have your dinner. You didn't do nothing. You were just bang on it. You were in it. You were doing it. You were doing bits for them 4 hours. Do you think you could do the same as you could in an 8-hour day? I do. Do you, Jamie?
Yeah, I think I could. Yeah.
Sometimes we overcomplicate. Like, we need to get up at 5 and we need to get here and we need to do this. But when you're doing all that, tiredness kicks in, procrastination kicks in. You know, are you operating at your optimum because you are tired and you are messing around, and then you're factoring all these things in. So as you said, if you could put balance in there, maybe you take 4 hours to 8, but you've got 4 hours deep work and 4 hours where you're regulating yourself and you are looking after yourself. You're putting breaks in place. You're systemizing your day. Yeah,
the issue is, you know, there's a phrase, isn't it, where attention goes, energy flows.
Yeah.
And when we talk about attention span is the lowest it's ever been, ever. Attention span is people can't focus, like we spoke about before. So if you can't focus on what you're supposed to do because you're overstimulated, you can't think. So you need to be able to focus yourself on one task at a time. Whoever said, you know, I was listening to a guy called Rory Vaden, American guy, got a big brand business over there. And he said something like, you know, if you can't, what was the actual phrase? No, I can't think of the phrase. He basically say if you whoever said multitasking was the way to success was lying, because that's the biggest lie told in history. The way to be successful is focusing on one thing at a time and getting it right over and over and over again, banging the drum over and over and over again to be perfect and, you know, deliver something or achieve something. That's not multiple things, because the multiple things throw you off. And, you know, I'm going to say it, ADHD is a massive trait in all entrepreneurs, because we're trying to focus on 5 to 6 things at the same time. And that's what drives success, because the average person would only think on 1 or 2 things, but an entrepreneur is having multiple conversations and multiple ideas that sometimes, you know, leads to lack of productivity and efficiency. So it's about getting one thing at a time. And that's the reason why we spoke about before, those 3 tasks on a piece of paper every morning. What's the 3 things I need to do? Just focus on them 3 things. Everything that comes beyond that is a bonus. But it's about looking where you are now, whether you're looking to start a business, you've got a small business, you've got a big business, and you want to try to be, you know, an elite business. And what is the one thing that you can concentrate on right now? For the first part of the year going into 2025, for Q1, January, February, March, what is the one thing that you can get right?
For you personally, who's the best businessman or woman you've ever met? You can only choose one.
If you could only choose one, I'd have to say, you know, my old boss at our venture restaurants, Rob. He was the CEO. I think he was my biggest mentor. Why? Because I spent the most time with him. I was with him every day. He taught me so much. I learned a lot from him. He was genuine. He was authentic. And the most important thing is he was not reserved. He was not held back. You know, there's a lot of people that are our mentors, bosses, you know, people we work with, and they withheld information because that's down to their insecurities, that, you know, they think that you're going to overtake them or whatever, when actually, to be the best mentor, you need to be able to give as much advice as possible to the people below you, because you do that, they'll stay with you because they're constantly learning. But actually, you know, they can see that nothing's held back, and that's about you being authentic, and that's getting rid of that ego again, isn't it?
100%, definitely. Touching on that, if you could only pick one piece of advice, you could only pick one, what would you say the best advice is you've ever had in business, Jamie?
The best advice I've ever had in business.
In business, yeah.
Best advice I've ever had in business is getting used to failing fast. Get used to failing fast.
That was one of the questions. Do you fail fast or fail safe? Yeah,
fail fast. You know, we try things all the time, and it's just a constant. You know, it didn't work. It's not even a fad. It's just like, well, it didn't work. We tried it. We immersed ourselves. We done it.
Let's hit it again.
Yeah, let's hit it again. And what can we learn from it? And there needs to be a process of actually a reflection process of what can you learn from it.
Yeah.
You know, to make sure it doesn't happen again.
It's not a loss. It's a lesson.
Exactly. It's not a loss. It's a lesson. But I think sometimes, like, most people will repeat the same lessons over and over because they don't learn from it.
Yeah. Yeah, if you make a mistake once or even a couple of times, but it's when you keep making the same mistake again and again and again, you're going round in circles. Who's your mentor?
Who's my mentor? Do you know what? I've got a few people around me that mentor me on different topics, and I think it's about creating that group. I'm open, for learning. I'm coachable, so I can learn something off a complete stranger. I think my people who I lean on. Well, first of all, something easy that I used to do when I didn't have many people around me was looking at the Guide and Counsel. And this was the book from Patrick Bet-David, 5 Moves Ahead. I think he mentions it in that. And I took it from him, actually. It's looking at, if you were to look at 3 to 4 mentors of any single person in the world as your guide and counsel, who would they be? And creating that guide and counsel to actually look upon when you need to make a decision. So, for example, let's say we spoke about Tony Robbins and Walt Disney today. Let's say Tony Robbins was one. Well, before you'd done anything, you'd say, well, how would Tony do this? Or before you'd done something, how would Walt Disney do this? Or Steve Jobs or Mel Robbins or whoever it would be. Because that way you're constantly looking of playing that tennis with your affirmation before, of when you think of something, that's going to pop into your mind, but what would they do? And that elevates your performance. So I think, it's doing that, who you guide and counsel that you can think of on a day-to-day, but then also finding a coach or finding a mentor that can actually help bring the best out of you. We all need somebody to actually lean on, don't we?
We do. There's a lot of knowledge at our fingertips as well now, and we can bounce off that, but then it's having someone, a person to go to be able to help you put structure and guidance there, and I feel like it's important, and I feel like we all need it. I want to touch on public speaking briefly with you. I know you're into public speaking. Where did your passion for that come from? Where did you see it going?
So my passion for that just come from, I think I remember making my first video and I was like, okay, I want to be a coach. I want to do this business, but I need to start making videos. And I was like, I could just feel myself like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't think anyone does. I remember doing the first video and, I look back at them now and they were just so fake. They were just so fake in regards to trying too hard and, you could just tell. And,
take 12.
Yeah, literally take 12, just sweating.
Hello, welcome to Ways to Well.
Yeah, they were just...
Start that again, lad, start that again.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't get anything right once, do you? No. It takes to get them. So that just led to, me getting booked for things. But where it really started was, I've always managed teams. So I'd always love the team briefing. I'd always love, the team meetings of, sharing my knowledge of where I've been or how to improve. I've always been into personal growth.
Do you love the feeling of impact when you deliver something, Jamie, and you see it's it? Do you know what I mean? Where it's a room full of people and you say something, like they've took something from this, they've took something. When you're in the moment and you're giving it, and you're up there, when it's actually having impact, is that what you thrive on?
It is. I thrive on the contribution. I thrive on giving as much information and knowledge as I can, because that's what makes the world better. That's what makes people better. And there's so many people that are reserved and won't give that information. So I like making people better, because that's the real purpose I share. And I think with the speaking, the speaking led to me going into companies and speaking to their teams and managing business owners and helping, them get a certain result. And then I've built a passion for it where I love speaking in front of people, but I used to.
Do you get nervous?
I used to. I don't get nervous now. I just sort of, I think most people do get nervous if they're going to speak, but once you're getting over and doing something over and over, you don't. I used to, but I spoke in front of 1,500 people a couple of weeks ago.
Tenerife.
Yeah, and that was brilliant. I wasn't nervous for that, but it was more of, how can I make an impact there? Because, there was another, the guy who was event I was speaking at, Peter Sage, he's a multi-time entrepreneur, TED Talk speaker and things like that. So, but when I was there, it's great.
What's it like being with the likes of Peter Sage and stuff like that? Are they pinch yourself moments, Jamie? When you're there and he's there and, you're a part of this same process, like the kid from Cardinalina who just was happy with his job in the boozer, and your auntie making that phone call for you, and now you're standing there in them moments where you're with Peter Sage delivering these talks in Tenerife. Are they moments where you go, wow?
They definitely are.
A wow moment.
It is a wow moment, and I think when you're focused on something authentically and purpose driven, and you're not trying to be somebody else, you're not trying to do what everyone else is doing. You just head down and focused on what you want to do. Things just happen. I could never have seen me speaking at that event. I had dinner with him the other day, and building a network of amazing people around me. I think going back to that phrase of looking back, what Steve Jobs said of connecting the dots. The email my auntie sent to that place, the relationships that you build on the way, how things happen. And this podcast here will be a dot and part of some kind of timeline, some kind of story. Looking back, everything just makes sense, but you can never see that. You've just got to keep going. It's like you can see half of a jigsaw that's being built, and all you can do is keep building the jigsaw piece by piece. You don't even know what the jigsaw is going to turn into.
Entrepreneurs get that jigsaw out of the box.
Yeah.
Standard people don't.
That's it.
That's where you're getting the vision from. You can only see so much of it, and the rest of it gets put together. Some people don't even get it out, and you are, and that's why you are where you are. That's why we're having this conversation today. Would you say that was one of the proudest moments of your professional career so far, standing up and doing them talks? Are they significant moments for you, Jamie, where the little markers along the way?
They are. When I was about, I'd say 16 or 17, I wrote, I wanted to be a motivational speaker on the back of a business card. And I've still got the business card now. Someone gave it to me. It was just a regular business card. It was white. And I was in a business event. Or it wasn't a business event, actually. I was watching something online, and it was like, what do you want to be? What would be the dream? And things like that. And I couldn't think of anything. And I was just like, motivational speaker. And I'd ran out of paper, and I had my wallet in my pocket. And the top of the wallet was this white business card that was in there. And it might have been off a tutor or something. We had someone training or whatever. They come in because I was only young. And it was white, and I just wrote on the top of it, motivational speaker, because I ran out, and I thought I'd keep that. And I think with the motivational speaking, I think it's impacting people on a larger scale. That's what I love. I love the world at the minute is full of negativity, violence, distraction, and the world needs more people who can actually, think for themselves and be the best self. So I think the speaking is something that I'm really passionate about. We've got some amazing events ourselves that are lined up for next year.
We're going to touch on that. We're going to touch on it.
And yeah, I think it's nice when you can surround yourself with people in a room that all want to be there because they want to be there. They want to grow. They want to grow. Where sometimes you can have a conversation with people that they're just enclosed. They're not open for change. They're not coachable. So
yeah, some people can feel, and some people listen, and some people feel. And you're looking for the people who feel when they listen, and you're making them people feel, and that's what creates connection in it.
Yeah,
I always say about music. Some people listen to music, and some people feel it. You're like, yeah, I'm into this, and not everyone's like that. It's the same with what you're doing. How important is networking in business, and what is the best way to build meaningful, lasting professional connections?
Networking is so important in business. If you're not out there, no one knows you, and you've got to be out there telling your story. You've got to also understand how to speak with people to actually sell yourself, not sell your product or not sell your service, but sell your story. What is the story? People are interested on who you are. We've just walked into here today. You've got this podcast. It's like, this is Green Lane Blinds, but there's a podcast studio in the back, and understanding your story, all these amazing people that have also been on the podcast.
They've shared their stories.
They've shared their stories. Everything's about storytelling. Everything's about experience. So networking, is not about just running over to someone and giving them a business card or telling them, what they should buy from you. Networking is about building connection. Trust is built on connection. you trust somebody when you feel connected to them, and when they share how vulnerable they are. You know, when you're feeling vulnerable,
it's a power to share vulnerability, isn't it, Jamie? It's a strength.
It is, and you know, we speak about it all the time. That, you know, just be a bit vulnerable. You don't need to know all the answers.
I try to show my vulnerability as much as I can. Like if I'm scared of something, I'll say I'm scared. If something challenges me, I'll say it challenged me. You know, if something makes me upset, I'll share. I'll say, oh, it upset me, because then I feel like people can see below the layer, and it makes them feel like, you know what? It's like, it's not embarrassing for me to say that I was scared, or that I weren't good enough this time, or whatever it may be. Them challenges, it helps others to open up as well. But I feel like people who are comfortable with themselves, I've got the power to do that, or the strength to do that. Where people who are like very much ego driven and stuff like that, they're scared to look vulnerable.
Definitely. And I think my core passion is leadership. And the way I look at leadership is how you can influence, how you can serve people. And the word servant comes from the Latin word, the word servant translates to hero. The word hero translates to servant. So, you know, everyone thinks that they need to be a hero. They don't. They need to be a servant of how to serve people, of how to contribute to people. And I think, you know, to build a connection with someone when you network and to sell your business or sell yourself, it's about how can you serve them? You know, what do you need? What do they need? Ask them, what are they looking for? How can I help? Because everything comes back around. And if you can have a conversation and not sell anyone to someone, but then get business from it, that's how you know you're being authentic. You know, it's not, some people just try too hard to sell.
Yeah.
And it comes through. You can feel it. It's off-putting.
Yeah, if it's heavy sales, you're like, I'm not feeling this. Where if someone's just natural, it'll organically sell. It's authentic. It'll sell itself.
Yeah.
People buy people, don't they? I know that's a bit cliche, but things are cliche for a reason. And people do buy people. Talking about networking and events, you put on events yourselves, don't you? And they look crazily impressive. Tell us a little bit about them. Could you explain about your next one? And if somebody would like to go to it, how?
Okay. So my vision and the vision of the company is to build an immersive and experiential event company that's based on business events and personal growth, what we spoke about before, that has coaching attached to it, and obviously an organizational arm to develop culture and customer experience, etc. Our events is, I constantly go to events and I say, I'm bored. You know, why am I here? I'm sick of them white tablecloths and black tablecloths, and I'm sick of everyone doing the same things. Because
tell me something I don't know.
It's all boring. It's all tick box.
When you go, Jamie, and you sit there and you come out and you're like, there was nothing he really said or she really said. I didn't really know. I didn't take anything from it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we've got a passion to create experiences. It's what we do. You know, we've got a passion to help people connect. You know, people now want to gather and connect with like-minded people more than ever before, because, you know, COVID changed buying habits. COVID changed, you know, habits, how we interact with people. COVID's changed who we are, because we've reflected and we have had time to think of what we want to be and what we want to do. And that's about being around people to connect and share stories and become better. So we've had, you know, we have a Wow Leadership live event where we get different leadership speakers and we share stories on high performance and adventure and how to, you know, exceed expectations. We've had a Ways to Wow experience event. We hired Mansion nightclub. We had soul singers. We had dancers. We had violinists that obviously captured the emotion as we're giving motivational talks and things like that, which is really compelling. Our next event is going to be Build Your Brand Summit in March. So that's going to be all about building your brand and how to stand out in the marketplace. You'll be going through you'll be going through a couple of components from our framework. We'll have multiple speakers on there. The date we're just confirming, but you can
anybody go?
Anyone can go. Anyone can buy a ticket for the Build a Brand Summit. Yeah. And then we've got some big ones planned for next year. One that's going to be in Tenerife with a collaboration with Peter Sage. That one's going to be called Human Rising, of taking off your robot mask and unleashing your true potential.
It's exciting.
Yeah, so that'll be a good one.
I'd like to touch on adaptability, as I think it's crazily important. And if you don't innovate, you die. If you don't adapt to change, how do we keep tabs on innovation in the market we're in or our particular industry? And how do we not get complacent and stuck in the mud? How do we keep innovating, Jamie? And how do we keep being aware that there is a need for change?
I think it's just by doing one thing. It's listening to your customers. You've got to have feedback in place, and you can't take that personally. You know, I love when people give feedback. I love when we get negative complaints. I'm constantly asking, how can we improve? And you can only improve once you listen. Once you listen, you know, and the people who are buying from you know, don't ask your friend, don't ask your sister, don't ask, someone who's going to lie to you or, tell you what you want to hear. Ask the people who are actually doing business with you, because that's how you innovate. How can we improve our service? How can we be faster? How can we be more personable? And you're going to get the answers you need from just asking those questions.
How do we stand out in a saturated market? If you're doing something and there's a lot of people doing it, it's really, really, it's hard to stand out. How do you stand out?
You've got to, you've seen that photo where it's like a road and it goes left and right, and you see everyone going left and one person going right, and that's exactly how to stand out. You've got to break the script. You've got to go against the grain. You've got to do something else that no one else is doing. I seen a company, it was a law firm. I seen a law firm company the other day that they've just rebranded. And what comes to mind when you think of a law firm in regards to brand is probably like black, white, silver, blue, navy, those type of colours. This recruitment company have rebranded yellow. This corporate company, have rebranded yellow. They stand out from everybody else because it's not normally a colour that people would put in, and they've put like an emotion behind it, and all of the branding and all of the imagery all sings emotion, how you actually want to interact with that company. And they've probably thought long and hard and asked themselves the same question: how can we stand out? And it was a risky move. In the community, they've probably been ridiculed of, what they don't look professional. What are they doing? They're not professional. They're not corporate. And that's the way to stand out. It's being risky, but it's doing things that nobody else is doing. You said before, you think of ways to wow, you think of purple. Purple was chosen as well because not many companies use purple. So
it bangs. It stands out. It does. Yeah. It works. There's naysayers, a lot of them. Not everyone's going to like what you're doing. Not everyone's going to be on board with what you're doing. A lot of the time it's people we know. And we said, we've already said business is a lonely place and stuff like that. If you're in business and you've got an idea and you've got a vision, and not everybody can see it. And you are getting a lot of naysayers and a lot of, it's not going to work, blah, blah, blah. How do you handle that, Jamie? How do you keep going?
I think everybody always has naysayers around them, especially, some family and friends are probably worse for it, to be honest. I think when you've got something in your head that you want to do, if you feel like it's right, if you feel like it's right, you feel like this is what I want to do, not you just thinking about it like, should I do this? Should I do it? If you're like, I think this is the right way to go, then you've got to use all your drive and energy to go in that direction. And sometimes you need to brush past people, and you need to not listen to the things they have to say. What you do need to do though is you need to take on board what they're saying. Take it on board. Be present. Don't demotivate them and don't be rude to them. Take it on board. But if somebody's consistently saying something to you that you shouldn't do it, and you still want to do it, politely have a word with them and just say, you know what, I really want to do this. Can you stop like, trying to tell me that I shouldn't do this, because I don't need it. I want to do it. And if they still persistently are telling you not to do something,
distance yourself.
Yeah, distance yourself, because now they're trying to corrupt you. But if there's someone also who's close to you and they're loyal and they're trustworthy and they show vulnerability and they're trying to tell you to do something, or they're trying to
tell you not
to, then listen, take it on board. I think because the real people around you also will tell you the truth. So that's also important, is are the people around you who are telling you what to do or trying to advise you, the right people or the wrong people. And, we mentioned yesterday, don't take advice from someone who you wouldn't want to trade places with.
Yeah, that most definitely. Scalability, companies who are looking to grow but maintain culture at the same time. That can be difficult, can't it? As business grows, they can lose culture. How do you maintain both?
So to maintain culture, you've got to make sure the environment's right. You've got to make sure that you actually know your team. I knew all of my team's names, and I think you've got to make it personable. Like, don't talk about business. Don't talk about, work with them. Have a genuine conversation, because that's what once again builds connection, is genuine conversation, authenticity. So to build a culture, you've got to lead by example. You've got to become a culture champion, especially if it's your business. You can't go in a room and speak down to somebody and then expect your team to love coming to work for you when actually, you haven't spoken to them right, or their manager hasn't spoken to them right. Leadership is the core thing to get your culture right. Leadership's like a waterfall that flows downwards. Leadership's about influencing, and you need to
live by your values.
And I think when we go into companies and help shape their culture, we're predominantly working with the leadership team, because the 100 shaped 1,000. And
I love that one.
It is, and it's so true, because the team members who are actually putting their time and energy and actually building the vision and building the company, they are the business. They just won't work for anybody that's not disrespecting them. They won't work for anybody that is speaking over them. I learned a stat yesterday that one of our team put together, Jay, about the average person
Shout out, Jay.
speaks over somebody every 3 seconds. So every 3 seconds you're speaking over someone. Is that right? So that's, if you're working in a company and your boss just keeps speaking over you, without listening and taking on board what you're actually saying, they've got no morals. Why would you want to work for them? If they're not taking on board what you're saying. And the fact is, to build culture and to know that you've got a really positive culture and you've got a great team, your team will feel empowered in the role. They will approach you if they've got a problem or a situation. But what tends to happen now is everybody's just head down working, because they're working in a company, I'd say 7 times out of 10 that they don't want to be there. They're just lost and just end up in this cycle, and they've got a few friends that they work there for. And people work in a company usually because of the people they work with, not the company. They work with the people they work with. So if they get the people right, you get your business right.
I'd like people to work at my business for me because they want to be there, because they want to be a part of what I'm doing, not just because, Megan and Carmen are mates. And it's true, isn't it? Do you think a lot of us are guilty of thinking too small?
Yeah. We do an exercise where we ask everyone to put the hand up. We done it yesterday. Put your hand up, and they put it up, and then you say, put your hand up again.
It was about that one hit me. I wrote it down for in here.
Yeah. I've just shared your secrets.
It's okay, by the way.
So if you put your hand up, okay, and then you put your hand up again, but put it even further, and then you ask yourself the question, why didn't you do that the first time?
Blew my head off.
And it's so true, because it makes you think. And if you're operating, well, they say, don't they, when you're training or when you're running, when you want to give up, you're only 40%.
You're only 40% done.
You're only 40% done. Yeah, you're only 40%. So there's always more. You can always push. You can always do more, and it's always looking at those opportunities to exceed the expectation within yourself. So you can actually give more, and you can't give more if you're burnt out, if you're overstimulated, if you've got lack of focus. That's why you need to be sharp.
The mind's got a governor on it, and it can be adjusted with practice.
Yeah.
We hit that limit, and it's like shut off. But if you can stay at that limit for a little bit longer, you can just push the door open a little bit more ajar. You hit it again next time. You keep breaking the ceiling. Eventually, it starts to move.
Yeah.
And you start to be able to do more, push more. And I feel like we've just got to try and put our hand all the way up all the time.
Definitely, that's it.
But it's being aware of it.
Exactly. And I think part of our sort of build your brand process for the business, we look at brand, marketing, culture, operations, and the operations in a business is like getting the basics right. That's your operation. But to actually exceeding it. Well, you go operations, then you go customer service level, and then you'll go wow experience. Now, going back to what we said before, most businesses today are getting the basics wrong. They can't even deliver the customer service. They can't even maintain, a culture of people who want to work there. To get a wow experience in both your, with your customers or with your team members, you need to set the foundation.
What are the basics, if you had to bullet point them without going into detail, Jamie? If you just went bang, 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 they're the basics you need to get right. They're the fundamentals you need to get right. What are they?
In business,
yeah,
you need brand, marketing, operations, and culture. The main thing is, without the foundation, the foundation of everything is, you can't build a culture without a brand. Why? Because you need to build a culture, you need a team of people to buy into something. So you need the foundation. So if you think of a pyramid, the brand DNA is on the bottom. You need to understand what makes you different and why should people come and work for you, because there's loads of opportunities. On top of the brand, we can then look at culture. Who are the people, and how can we develop all this brand information, and how can we give them the tools and the philosophy to actually, go on and be empowered in their role and do everything that they need to do. On top of culture is then your operation. That's your service operating procedures. That's your business model. That's how you're sort of running your business and making money. And then on top of the operation is the wow experience. So most people have businesses that are just operating, and they're making money. Some people will be, not making money, but there's a lot of businesses out there that are making money, but they're just operational led. They're not experience led. But what I can tell you from our experience, because we've got the data as well to back it up, is that once you develop a culture of people that work for you, that love to exceed expectations, not because you are telling them what to do, but because they're empowered and they believe.
That's who they are as well, yeah.
Exactly, that's who they are, and creating them fulfilling moments. Your business becomes a brand over the space of a couple of months, because those people are running the business and they're the personality that's actually growing it. Your sales are up, your retention's better, your recruitment's better, your offer's better, your community impact's better, because you've actually built a business that spreads a cause far beyond of what you actually initially set out to do.
It's amazing. I always say to my staff, I don't need you, but I want you. I want you here, but I don't need you here. And you don't need me. You could go anywhere, but I want you to be here because you want to be here. And I feel like that's when the magic happens. If someone's here because they're like, I've got to go to work today, well, then they don't want to be here. If I've got you here and it's like, I need you to just facilitate a job for me, then you're not right for me. I want that staff member, and I want them to want me. And I think that's when you get the best results.
Definitely.
What does the future look like for Ways to Wow?
Future look like, so we've got a couple of exciting things coming up. We've got the launch of our program, the Ways to Wow program, that's launching in January. That's our program that we've designed to create global impact. It's a 6-month transformational leadership and personal development program that takes people, coaches, business owners, trainers, customer success agents through our process of actually how to become a moment maker, of actually to create these moments and put them into practice, not just once, but actually by design, how to connect, how to master a wow mindset, to exceed expectations in every area of the life, to become a high performer, to how to build customer journeys and how to engineer wow moments in them journeys so they can go into any business and they can be able to create those moments and design them experiences, as well as for their own businesses that they own or they work in. And, that we've got people from Russia signed up, America, South Africa, UK, Canada. So we've got people from all over the world signed up to this already, which is going to be our focus, I would say, for next year, as well as we've got 4 immersive events that I'm really looking forward and excited to for next year. So that's, once again, Build a Brand Summit, which is going to be in March. We're looking for a location and just confirming the date. That's going to be in Liverpool. We've got Human Rising events. That's going to be in Tenerife. We've got a Wow Leadership Live, which we use the Everyman Cinema for that, which is really cool.
Looked amazing.
And then we've got a One Life event, which is a personal growth event.
If someone wants to get involved with Ways to Wow, how do they do it?
Get in touch with us on Instagram. We've just got a new website that's just about to be launched because we've changed a few things. But yeah, it's Ways to Wow. Ways to Wow UK on Instagram. My Instagram is Jamie Wray on Instagram. So yeah, get in touch.
Last two questions. What's the most rewarding part of your job, Jamie?
Most rewarding part of my job is seeing things come together. I would say seeing the light bulb moments when I sit with people and we see that they've got the result that they wanted, what they actually signed up for. The light bulb moment of actually turning that 6 to 12 month, plan into reality where it's actually working. That's what we love. That's what lights me up. So yeah.
How do you want to be remembered professionally?
I want to be remembered professionally of a good person that actually you learn from. I say I'm an educator by heart. I love educating people. I love coaching people. So I'd want to be remembered as someone that, brought energy and inspiration to them, because I think everybody has their own ideas, like we said before. If I can play a small part in that to help them ideas, get stronger or, get more power behind them, then that's all I'm trying to do.
It's amazing what you're doing. You're doing it really well. Shout out to Jay as well, who's sitting here, because he's also a massive part of the process, and I'm actually on the journey with you, and what you're doing is absolutely amazing. Let's have a little few quick fire questions before we go, because I just like a little bit of that.
Of course we do,
yeah. One meal you could eat every day?
Meal can eat every day. Oh my God, meal can eat every day. Chicken wrap.
Your biggest fear?
Biggest fear, spiders.
If you were to start another business today, what would it be?
Recruitment.
Dream business collab right now?
LFC.
Good one. Biggest motivation?
Biggest motivation in general.
What motivates you?
What motivates me? Impact.
Favourite holiday destination?
Tenerife.
Define success for you in one word.
Discipline.
Your favourite quote?
If you're not wowing, you're not winning.
Jamie, there, you've been amazing. Thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome.
You have shook the mic, brother, and I appreciate you.
Thanks so much.
Would you like to do any shout outs or anything before we go?
No, like I say, pleasure. If anyone's listening, get in touch with us on Instagram. And yeah, we run a monthly Build a Brand event in the Melia Hotel, which is a free event everyone can get involved in. It's good.
When's the next one?
The next one is next week, 3rd of December. 5th, the 5th of December, next week. So yeah, get in touch and we can send you the link for that. Jump on it. You come to one, you enjoyed it, didn't you?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was fantastic. Get yourselves down there, 5th of December. That's next Thursday.
Yeah.
I'd just like to do a little quick shout out to our sponsors, Gratitude Apparel and JT Medical Aesthetics. They help us out loads, and thanks for tuning in. Until next time, guys. Peace out.